All right, so let's hear it for both the Prime Minister and the members of government.
All right. Greetings. My name is Stefan, and today we're going to be discussing immigration. I'd like to thank the audience and my opposing teammate for being here today. What I'm saying is give immigrants a way to be citizens in the United States legally. The United States will let immigrants into our country under certain rules and procedures which will grant amnesty. Immigration is what America is today. Almost everyone's family in America has immigrated here from another country. Immigration is what molded America. I think that anyone who wants to immigrate here to the United States should be welcome to do so. I agree with immigrating the right way. Anyone who desires to be a citizen should go through proper channels and qualify for their citizenship. The immigrant will need someone from the United States to sponsor/vouch for them. To reside and work in the States, the immigrant will also need a proper background before checking receival approval. Once the immigrant is over here and has found a job and has sustained themselves with the job, they should be able to apply for citizenship. I think a year is more than fair for an immigrant with a job and who has an American sponsor/vouch to get them citizenship. The documentation for becoming a U.S. citizen can generally be on N through 400, which is the application of neutralization. The immigrant will take a captainship test, which they will have to answer levels of knowledge about English, U.S. history, and civics. The residency rights will be officially certified as possessing the right and having the government document known as green card. Plan. Our plan is that anyone who wants to be a United States citizen and is willing to go through the sponsorship and the background checks will have a chance to do so. According to the fordomain.com, there are United States citizens that sign up to sponsor immigrants from other countries. If an immigrant does not know anyone from the United States that would sponsor them, they can look up sponsors online. We don't want to make it easy for them to get into the country. We just want to make it doable. If someone wants to better their life and wants to go through the right procedures to be a citizen, then they can. Immigration has been going on since the founding fathers of America. Anyone who wants to come to the United States to have a better life should be able to do if they are willing to go through the right channels. Immigrants will try to find illegal ways to get into the United States. This way there will be a legal way for immigrants to come in and try to gain citizenship. Immigrants will always try to find illegal ways in the U.S., but at least with our plan, the government can monitor the immigrants who want to become citizens the right way. Banning immigration in all is not the answer. Secluding our nation will bring more problems than we already have. Foreign countries will look at us differently and probably will not want to participate in trades of goods or services. Homeland Security and government will be enforced, and this will be starting next year. It gives a solution for immigration and work. If you're able to go through the right channels, you can become a citizen. Immigration and trade is good for our country. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Questions?
Not at all.
All right.
Any questions from the audience?
Oh, okay. How much more time do I have left?
You got
Quite a
minute and a half. Do you want to just go back over what your plan is?
Pretty much what my plan is, like, it's already being taken place right now, is that pretty much that anyone who wants to come in, that they will have a vouch or like a sponsor in the United States that will help them become a citizen and help them get work. And pretty much there are certain, and if no one from that country knows anyone from the United States, there are certain websites that they could look up where there's people in the United States and organizations that will help sponsor them for work and help them become citizens through a proper background check and everything.
Yeah, I have a question. That's kind of the whole online thing. That seems really shady. I mean, couldn't you just sell your sponsorship? And isn't that like just bribery almost?
Well, I looked online a couple of nights ago, and I seeing what organizations do help, and I guess
Okay, so it's organizations, not just individual people.
it's not just it's pretty much individual people that work for organizations that want
Oh, okay.
help. Yeah, so pretty much they didn't really. I was actually looking for names, but they didn't really give any names. But I'm guessing it's like it said something about foundations. I was really looking for names, but didn't give me any. But yeah, pretty much they would like to help immigrants.
All right.
All right, let's hear it for me.
Yay, me again. I have returned, ladies and gentlemen. I do. You know, I also like Fantasia. And one of the most entertaining pieces in cinematic history is Mickey Mouse playing the Sorcerer's Apprentice in Disney's Fantasia. In it, Mickey commands a broom to go and collect water for him. At first, all is well, but when the broom won't... Sorry, computer. But when the broom won't stop there and there is an excess amount of water, Mickey, in his frustration, takes an axe to the broom to stop the flow of water. But this only makes things worse. The splinters of the magical broom multiply and become fully animated brooms under the same command to go and fetch Mickey more water. After a while, Mickey's failed efforts, like throwing buckets out of windows and elsewhere, finds him nearly drowning until the sorcerer himself comes and stops the animation of all the brooms. After he does so, the sorcerer deals with the excess water and gives a condemnatory look to Mickey. This is a wonderful parable about the nation's immigration system. We are like Mickey, trying foolishly to deal with the excess water when we need to find a system like the sorcerers where we stop the flow first and only then can we deal with the excess water. The sorcerer would not have been wise if he had, like Mickey, dealt with the water before the source of its excess. The proposition before us today is this. The U.S. federal government should grant amnesty to undocumented immigrants. I am opposed, I don't have a partner. I am opposed to it for two reasons. First, I believe that before we can be in a position to deal with illegal immigrants and talk about granting amnesty, we need to secure the border first. If the border is not secure, then it is not prudent to give illegal immigrants amnesty, just like it was not wise of Mickey to try to deal with the excess water first before securing its source. Clearly, the border is not secure, therefore it is not prudent to grant amnesty. So how do we secure the border? The first thing we can do is build a fence, a double fence. The cost of a fence crossing the entire U.S.-Mexican border, because that's where most of the immigrants are coming from illegally, will cost about $40 billion.
Oh.
Yeah, just $40 billion. Well, where in the world are we going to get this money? I'll tell you, from cuts. The U.S. spends $4.7 billion a year on healthcare for illegal immigrants. In about 10 years, the cut from healthcare alone will pay for the fence. But illegal immigrants cost money elsewhere as well. We spend about $30 billion each year to educate illegal aliens. School cuts to stop educating children who are not entitled to our education in the first place can pay for the fence in a little more than a year. In short, we cut the money we're spending now on illegal immigrants to invest in the fence. We need to stop being like Mickey and hacking away at the brooms, and we need to start being like the sorcerer, stopping the flow of excess water, or in this case, illegal immigrants. Without a secure fence, any talks about borders is just a farce. If every 10 to 30 years we have to re-grant amnesty, our borders will be rendered obsolete. A necessary condition for a sound policy concerning amnesty is a fence to secure the border. And I brought that up in my last debate. But that entails that we would have to deny amnesty, at least for a certain amount of time, and then wait a few more years to ensure that the fence is actually working. This is a huge problem in the plan of my opponent. The U.S. has already granted amnesty before. By doing it again, we're rendering our borders obsolete and giving incentive to potential illegal immigrants to come and break our laws and with regularity. But even if our opponents don't find a problem with this, they have an extra burden to bear, which is, does the U.S. even have the resources to maintain an unrestrained flow of immigrants? Thank you. The second reason we are opposed is because of the nature of our government, and really all governments around the world. A good government does that which is in the best interest of the nation. This is reflected in our Constitution when it says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense and the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity." So the next question that should be asked is amnesty in the best interest of our nation? If my opponent believes that amnesty is in the best interest of the nation, that is his burden to bear, which will be further addressed in the rebuttal. Well, not a rebuttal, but whatever. I believe it is not in the best interest of the nation, therefore ought not to be allowed for the reasons just stated, and for the moral respect of the potential immigrant, which I will address in a little bit when I talk about values. But even if my burden of proof is not adequate, it does not need to be. If you don't find my either burden adequately met by either one of us, then you will be agnostic. But agnosticism leads to the suspension of action, which is identical to denying amnesty anyways. Finally, my values. It has been the case, unfortunately, that those who are against amnesty and are for building offense are depicted as heartless scum, with no care whatsoever about the humanity of illegal immigrants. It was said before that illegal immigrants don't have the right to pursue happiness. That's not me. But this does not correspond to reality. In fact, the opposite is true. It is not the case that we don't want illegal immigrants for the mere fact that they are immigrants. If they went through the legal process, we would be more than happy to take in immigrants who would benefit the country and benefit themselves. But if you're in America and you're an illegal immigrant, you are a target. You are at risk. Why? Because illegal immigrants have no protection under the law. If a woman crosses the border illegally and gets raped, she has reason not to report it because she might well get deported. She might not get reason to report it because she might well get deported instead of getting the help that she needs. If a man falls off a roof working for a wage and was injured, what attorney can he call? If a child learns about American ambition and dreams of starting up his own business, what license can he get and what bank will give him a loan? None. That child and his entire family will have created a permanent lower class with no hope for prosperity. For an illegal immigrant, there is an unhealthy fear for our law enforcement and breeds disrespect for our law. To keep illegal immigrants here is to prolong them being exploited, and this is not something I wish to see.
Yeah, that's time.
For all these reasons and more, we oppose amnesty.
So, let's prep time before you respond, but I'm also going to invite Clara up to come talk with you, since you usually have a partner to talk over your strategy with. If you're open to that, Clara?
Yeah, I'm
I'm helping him strategize a little bit. Alright, so you have a total of 3 minutes of preparation time, and you might as well say a little Midwest. Or this is Midwest.
Thank you.
Very good.
So cool.
Thank you.
Very glad you got to use that case.
I did. I just wanted to talk about Mickey Mouse, so I was like,
I'll never look at it the same again.
yeah.
I was kind of laughing because I was thinking about the Penn and Teller that we watched. I don't think you were here that day.
I wasn't. No. What happened?
They were trying to debunk the idea that a wall would curb immigration.
Oh.
And so they took the plans that Congress had proposed for building a wall
Mhm.
and used the same materials and construction of it, but made like a miniature one.
Yeah.
And hired these guys to build it, and then they also paid them to try. Yeah, they
Yeah.
hired these guys to build it, and then they also asked them to
Get over it.
under it.
Yeah.
And they all did very quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think underneath was no.
No, the one that went over.
No, the one that went over to the
Because we're trying to help the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one that went.
Was that just one fence? Because I said a double one
It was
with a
double.
road
It
in
was
between.
double.
Oh, it was double. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that they constructed.
It was double, it was just wide though. There's one here, and something in the middle.
Oh.
Wasn't like double.
No,
it was
there's
a
got to
road.
be a
To their
road.
benefit, they also built it, so they
It was not
probably
a
sure how to
multi-billion
destroy
dollar
it.
road.
Yes, they're gonna be.
Yeah.
Time.
But ironically, we probably would have been using
Yeah, that's
your
okay.
labor to build it.
She gave some estimate.
Not trying to talk smack on your plan. I thought it was a good plan, but also had that in mind. You have 1 minute left. Also, just to clarify, this will be your second and final speech. You'll have a little more time than you would for a closing statement, though. So we'll just see how much time you use. Alright, he's ready to go. After some explaining. Strategizing, let's hear it for Stefan.
Alright, first I'd like to talk about his wall and the $40 billion. Pretty much, I think that we want the same thing and that we have like the same type of plan for like keeping citizenship and everything, but mine, it won't be $40 billion to build a wall. And then also, his plan only addresses the Mexican and U.S. border, and mine goes around the whole world. Because like right now, my grandma, she was born in Canada, and she came to the United States, and she became a U.S. citizen. And now she lives in Canada half the year and lives in the United States half the year. And she does fine, and she works here, she has a job here, and she has a job there. And when she came here, she worked with the church, and they helped her with her citizenship to be an American. And she's been living here for over 50 years now. So that's one thing that where my plan is like that, and it worked, and they granted a citizen from another country that wanted to come over here and find work and start a family and start something. Like my grandma had a business here, a restaurant, and it went on for about 40 years, and that's how she went. So that's what I want to grant. I want to grant people that are coming from other countries to get a fair chance to have a job and start families and help their families out to become better people and have better lives. And let's see. And then also he talked about keeping people. Wait, hold on. Actually, never mind about that. Also, I'm talking about that people coming in right now, and he's talking about people that are already here, I believe, right? Like,
I'm saying talks about amnesty aren't even warranted until we can get the border first. After the border's up, then we can possibly talk about amnesty.
Okay. All right, and so that's pretty much it. Are there any questions? This is my last one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my last. So pretty much why I think my plan is a good plan is that it gives immigrants from other countries a chance to be citizens here the right way by going through work and taking a test at the end that will test them on America, pretty much like history and civics. And if they could get through that, they will become citizens, and they will be able to have rights as a citizen to get work and get benefits after everything. And that's it.
Yeah, because I think both of you are saying, you're talking about people that want to become citizens, or that want to come to this country.
Yeah.
What about all the people that are here already? All the illegal immigrants? I don't think neither one talked about what's going to happen to all the people.
Right. I purposely didn't talk about that because I said we are not in a right position right now to even discuss the issue. And so because of that, we have to suspend doing that.
Yeah, like that's in the past. Like I'm trying to start something new, so the same thing's not going to keep going on in the future, you know. So we could get a fresh start and start a new type of plan.
Are you gonna let the people that are already here, like, are you gonna grant them amnesty?
Well, if the people that are already here that are illegal and they hear about the plan and they like it, that they could go and they could say, you know what, I've been living here, I know people here, and they want to vouch for me and sponsor me to work for their organization, and I want to become a citizen the legal or the right way, and I want to be a legal citizen.
All right, cool. Alright, locating this final word on this one.
Well, I want to start off with some points of agreement. That if you do want to become a citizen, you should learn civics and history and the English language. I think being an illegal citizen does give you a reason to not assimilate into the culture. And as I mentioned before, that does create a permanent lower class because then you don't have opportunities to flourish. So I do agree with that. He says immigration made America, and he's right. But I think we did it the right way. Or there wasn't a wrong way because this wasn't really like an established place. So that's not really analogous. I'm not sure. He says you have to apply for citizenship after you get a job. But what if you just don't have those kind of job skills? Like a lot of the people who cross illegally don't have technical skills. If they did, they would stay where they're at because those kind of jobs are everywhere. So it seems like his plan would only allow for an upper class. And if you're worried about class warfare, that's not a very good plan. I'm not worried about class warfare. But if you are, you shouldn't vote for him. Says you could look up sponsors online, and I think I already brought up the potential issue of corruption. Just selling your voucher. And I would also like to know, how many times can you sponsor a person? Because I mean, it is conceivable then that one guy can sponsor like 100 people, and I don't think that's a very feasible or responsible plan. You can answer that if you like.
Okay, no, what I was saying is that, because it is true, a lot of people from other countries don't know people from the United States, but then again, a lot of people from other countries do know people from the United States. Mm-hmm. So in that way, for people sponsoring those people that don't know anyone from the United States, but I'm sure that people from the United States also have family and friends that could, or they could, I didn't really bring that up. But.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true mostly in the cases of the U.S.-Mexico border, which is something you criticized me for being too narrow about. So, I don't know. He said banning immigration is not the answer. Actually, I agree with that. So, whatever. Says he said I just want people to have better lives, and I think he tries to use that as a justification for coming over and breaking the law, but I think that's true of almost anybody who commits a crime. Throwing a brick through my ex-girlfriend's window would make me really happy. Yes.
To go about what you said about how the colonies came to America now and we did it the right way. How could you justify that and say that they did it the right way when we came here and took over other people's land? And if you didn't know that England, they sent over, there were slaves and people who owed the government money and prisoners. So, like, how can you say that's, like, the right way? I don't really agree with that.
Well, okay, so, I mean, they weren't perfect, but I don't think they illegally...
And then another part to that, too, they came here to go and build a new life and do other things.
Right.
And they did it at a cost to the Indians, the natives, and the people already here. So, isn't that in comparison to what he's saying, that those people are coming here to try to start a new life?
No, I don't think that's analogous at all. I mean, this wasn't... prior to the English immigrants, this wasn't really known territory. It wasn't charted. It was uncharted territory. So no one really claimed. I mean, yeah, you have the argument, and I am partial to that. But the argument can also be made that our immigrating here actually made things better for them. No? So I mean, okay. So let me expand on that then. Things like democracy, was introduced to them. Slavery, a lot of the Indian colonies here were slave colonies. Christianized Europe came and said you can't do that anymore. Were they hypocrites? Yeah, but at least they provided them the foundation to say no, that's wrong, and you are a hypocrite.
So So are you saying that you should just because you don't know about it or you're ignorant of someone else's culture that you should come in and change them to?
Not that you're ignorant. No. We know fully well the kind of tribes that were here, and they were primitive. Europe is not primitive. An Indian country would have never produced the America that it is now if Europe had never come over. Europe and the way they view the world and the values that they hold leads to prosperity.
But
Any other kind of country would have never produced the America that it is.
From the ways that they practice.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It was a separation.
Wait, what do you mean by they?
The English government and the colonies, there was a separation. That's why they became the United States of America. Because they didn't agree with what
so it was colonized. Yeah, but I mean, you have colonization, which is, you have systems of government, which the primitive Indians, they were primitive. So, would you rather have a primitive?
For them, they had a system, though. That's what I'm saying. They had a system, like...
People were living peacefully for thousands and thousands of years.
Were they?
Yeah.
Cannibalism and slavery and...
This is actually an interesting debate, and it would be interesting to have this as a longer discussion. Maybe we will.
Okay, so let me just wrap up. Let me just wrap up. To say that you want better lives, I could throw a brick through my ex-girlfriend's window and that'd make me really happy, but that is not justification for breaking the law. Yes, people who come here break the law, they do it because they want to be happy, but that's true of just about any crime. And so it's not good justification. Although I would benefit, I would really like to throw a brick.
Another interesting debate. Great job, you guys. That was our first one-on-one, but it was pretty interesting. So let's see a show of hands for the government side.
I want to.
Uh-oh. Here, Adrian really pissed you guys off, didn't he? Are you sure this isn't more judge intervention, or are you guys jumping based on Stefan's responses?
It started out peaceful with the Mickey Mouse.
Okay, and then let's see who's voting for Adrian, though. Show of hands for Adrian.
Use Disneyland as a source.
Got you. I definitely applaud his creativity, his ability to argue by analogy and by example. There was a lot of good debating happening. Why did you guys vote for Stefan, though? Or I can't remember which side did you vote. Okay, so why did you vote for Adrian?
So I wanted to vote for Stefan because his idea and his plan is way awesomer. But the argument itself was just not. It wasn't enough to show all the possibilities of how much better it is.
Right.
That was the only lapse. Everything he said made it so much better than his plan. Mm-hmm. But it's when you want to go for Stefan because that plan does seem like the better plan.
Yeah.
But you can't agree with it if it's not argued as well as it could be.
Yeah, and I think that's why I would have voted for Adrian too. At the end of the day, Stefan didn't really have concrete disadvantages that were coming from his plan. So what are negative disadvantages or harms that he could have argued will happen if we pass Adrian's plan? Ideas? Yeah.
They're not dealing with anything that's already going on here. Neither of them were really dealing with the people who were already here. They were just trying to stop it.
So that's an issue. There's no way of dealing with who's here, and Adrian has good reason for not doing that, and he explained that. Stefan's doesn't really address that. But also, Adrian's is doing something to the people who are already here. He's taking away all these services, and Stefan could have argued easily that you're just going to have massive numbers of illegal immigrants who are just dying because they're losing their coverage, they're losing their care, they're losing a lot of the things that they are getting, which he's saying we should cut those to fund the wall. So you could have turned those into disadvantages, and then you guys could have debated about that.
Yeah, we could.
And that would have been interesting. Yeah, Blanca.
I didn't vote for him because he just focused on the border and illegal or undocumented immigrants cross not just through the border, they also come by sea.
Yeah, they do.
So there's different ways that they.
You're only solving for Mexico or Latin America.
Just on the wall.
That's a good point. I think you could have also challenged him and said that it's a single cause fallacy. He's assuming that the main reason people are coming, well, maybe not, but you can say that he's assuming that the main reason that people are able to keep coming is because of the lack of security, but that there are other motivations that kind of supersede that, and that people will find other ways to get through or around or in, I suppose. So that's another possible argument he could have made. So a lot of you guys voted for Stefan. What else did you think he did well? Yeah, John.
I thought that what you just said about the focus on the U.S. and Mexico border part, I felt like that was a big issue that Adrian didn't combat, was that he was focused more on the U.S.-Mexico border, but then his was more like, what do you call it, like more worldwide.
Yeah. Adrian didn't really have a good response to that, so that would be a voting issue too. The thing I really want to emphasize is that these things that are voting issues to you are things that hopefully and ideally in the debate, in the closing speech, you're able to label and identify and say, here are 3 reasons why you should vote for us. Here are 3 arguments that we are winning, right? That really helps the audience to make a clear decision if you're telling us what to vote on, right? So it's good that you're able to pick those things out and focus on those, but the debaters should help us with that a little bit too. Other reflections or thoughts on this debate? Yeah.
I know, I mean, when he talked about his plan and everything, he didn't have like any sources to back up his.
He had a couple.
Yeah.
There are a couple in there, but he could have more thoroughly given his evidence for everything.
I know I said one. I had 2 written down, but I actually only said 1. So.
One thing I'm noticing in a lot of your cases that I've been trying to really instill is the importance of including the publication and the date in the text of your case so that you're actually saying it in your sentences. What I see a lot of people doing is just putting a web link in the middle of their case for their source, which doesn't help you out at all. And if anything, it just stumps you or confuses you when you get to it because you're not sure how to cite it. So it's important that you integrate those sources into your case the way that you will cite them. And then also include the full information in your works cited page. So if you're asked questions about a source, you've got it ready to go. But the idea is you want to actually integrate those into your sentences and tell us the source before you give us the evidence, and also to always cite sources when you're giving statistics or specific evidence to support your claims. So I think that's something that a lot of folks can improve on for the last debate. I think Myra and Clara did the best job in citing sources, and that was a great example. They seamlessly flowed into their case, and they were just supporting their claims really well. So that's kind of what you want to shoot for. Cool. All right. Well, let's give them another round of applause. You guys survived 2 debates. We only have 1 more left. The final debate is going to have slightly extended speaking times and also slightly extended cross-examination, which is kind of what we were just doing, where not only do you just ask questions, but you have more of a back and forth happening. And there's actually protected time for that. So we've